Hi Cozy Hobby friends, I am very excited to share with you my new journaling and planning setup. As many of you may have seen in my previous videos, I've been using Hobonichi Cousin since 2024, and recently I decided to switch it up because I realized that this 1 page a day layout felt very limiting to me. I felt like I had to curate what I wrote every single day to fit into this single page to write only the most important or most memorable things in my day. I felt like I needed space to process all of my emotions, not just happy ones, be able to self-reflect and also geek out over what's currently interesting me. I know that I can just skip the dated pages, but that's a feature that I actually really like in the Cousin, and I wouldn't want to do that. In fact, it has been really helpful for me when I try to do memory keeping because it allowed me to look at each day very quickly and remember what happened during that day. But in my early days of pregnancy, memory keeping felt like a chore. As you can see, there were a lot of days that I just skipped and didn't feel like keeping up because I was just so tired. Instead, I looked into the traveler's notebook system after doing a lot of research on YouTube. And this system, I think, gives me the flexibility that I need. I've been testing this out for about a month now, and I'm really excited to share with you my system that has been working for me so far. Like I said, the biggest reason for me to move into a traveler's notebook system is because I needed more space to think. So I got myself this Midori notebook that acts as my daily journal, and all of the pages are blank, so I have as much space as I need to process, emotion dump, memory keep, whatever I want. And as you can see, I tend to write a lot, save for this sticker page. I really just needed the space to process and to write, and so far this has given me that flexibility, which I really enjoy. Now, what I also needed in my setup was a planner. That's one thing I really liked about the Cousin, which is it had vertical weekly pages, so it took me forever to find a planner that also had that layout. And here is an example of one that I had found. I really like the hourly schedule. I actually didn't use this last year, but I used it this year, and I really like being able to see what's going to happen in my day and be able to time block. But the other thing that I found I needed was a special to-do list section, and that's what this section is for. I'm still experimenting with daily task list management, but so far this has been serving its purpose. And what I do is I actually split it in half so that I have my work tasks and my personal tasks separate. Another really nice suggestion that I saw online from, I think, Rachel in Theory was creating a thinking book. And this is just basically scratch paper for me to go in and write down whatever sort of thoughts, try out different things, and also write down brain dumps for each day. This book is meant to be messy, it is meant to be recycled when I'm done, so I want to find a book next time that has slightly thinner pages because this does take up a lot of space and is really cheap so that I can just recycle it when I'm done. This book contains like anything that is transient, so also projects. This is an example of when I was trying to create my Kobo cover or try to map out a crochet pattern that I eventually gave up on. But yeah, I call this my thinking book, and so far it has been working out as a daily task management list for me. I think this method of daily task management has been helpful because I can write down on a very granular level of what I need to do, and I know that it can be kind of annoying to migrate from one day to the next, but if that means having to rewrite it and think about the tasks that actually matter to me from day to day, I'm willing to do that. And eventually, if I find myself migrating too many tasks every single day, that just tells me maybe those tasks are not important, or I can schedule it and put them in my planner instead. The way I handle my brain dump tasks in here is heavily influenced by GTD or getting things done. They also recommend putting any sort of long-term tasks into this project section, which I really liked. This is something that I am trying out with my new system. But if there's non-actionable items, you should move them somewhere else, like an information collection. And that's what my collections notebook is for. Now, my collections notebook handles any sort of lists that I compile. For example, here's a wish list of items that I want. This is a list of media that I want to consume. I also have a couple of other lists that I had created, such as comfort reads, things that I want to learn. And I'm sure this will continue to grow as I think of lists to add. But so far, I'm pretty happy with keeping my lists separate from my disposable thinking book. So that's currently what's in my traveler's notebook: my thinking book, collections, daily journal, and planner. When I close this thing up, she is quite chunky, as you can see. But I want this to sort of be my everyday carry, my pack that I bring with me to work or anywhere else that I feel like I need all of these notebooks. A notebook that I do keep separate is my reading journal, which I have expanded into a media journal, actually, where I talk about any sort of books or movies, TV shows that I've watched, something that helps me be a more mindful consumer. Another notebook that is not part of this ecosystem yet is my Commonplace book. My Commonplace book just contains notes that I've taken on different topics that I find interesting or am learning. A part of me wonders if I should combine my reading journal or media journal with my Commonplace book, because they both essentially contain information that I find interesting and want to remember. To me, it doesn't really make sense to put these into my traveler's notebook, because this is more for on the go. I want to take this everywhere I go. And when I am doing my learning, I don't really need to take that with me everywhere. I just do that at my desk. One final little bonus notebook is this pocket notebook, which I keep on my bedside. And it just is there for me to jot down any sort of midnight thoughts, anything that's bothering me, any sort of like lists that I need to do. And I will eventually take care of them in the morning after I wake up and transfer that information into my traveler's notebook. So far, I am very happy with my separate journal and planner. I am still trying to figure out the best planner for me, because right now the pain points for this is that the schedule is every hour, and I think I really need something for every half hour. And the other thing I don't really love about this planner is that it's kind of thick, and because of that, it just takes up so much space in my traveler's notebook. If I were to take this out, my notebook is just so much more slim, and this is the thickness that I enjoy. So the two things that I can see still evolving for me is this planner system, trying to find the perfect planner, which may or may not be out there, we'll see. And also trying to figure out the best task management system, because this works, right? Like writing down all of my tasks for the day. But then it makes me question, why do I even need this to-do list section up here in my planner? So I'm continually reflecting on what's working for me and tweaking what's not. I think that's the beauty of the Traveler's Notebook system, because it allows you to change. I hope you enjoyed this little peek into my precious notebook. And if you have any comments or suggestions for what you would like to see next, please feel free to let me know. Thanks for watching.